Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where we are looking at using the M-Pesa Daraja API using React Native and Django to make real-world mobile applications both for Android and iOS. In the previous videos, we've been looking at how we can introduce ourselves to React Native and what it all means, and the previous tutorials were also covering Django and M-Pesa, but for these tutorials going forward, we'll be focusing mainly on the mobile application part, and we've already introduced a project that we'll be working on. So again, I've been asked by a lot of people again to try and make the videos shorter. The reason they've been longer is because I don't usually have time to prepare a lot because I have a full-time job. So majority of the coding that I'm usually doing is usually like live coding. I don't usually have time to prepare code to come and do. So everything I'm doing even in this video today will be more or less of a live coding. I've not done it before. So for this video, we'll be looking at styling in and also something called React Native elements. And remember, one of the weak points that we said about React Native is the styling aspect. So in this demo app that we created, you can see this is the landing page, and this is what we'll be doing for this video. I'm going to discuss with you the ups and downs of using styling in React Native and some of the simple technologies that we can use to make our lives easier. So in this video series, we are going to look at flexbox and what it means when it comes to styling for Android and iOS apps. We are also going to look at inline styles and what they are versus StyleSheet styling. We're also going to look at various components such as scroll views, list views, text and other things. We're also going to look at how we can do icons. So for example, here we have a lot of icons, we have a logo, we have images, we have different fonts and font weights. We're also going to look at the package called React Native Elements. So let's concentrate on this app of ours, for example, and start with a flexbox. So for example, when we have this styling here, how do we go about styling it? So if you've used mobile, if you've done like web development, you know about CSS, and in CSS we have divs, and in divs we have widths and heights, but in React Native we use something which is called flexbox. So basically what happens is that we split the entire app into small components. So for example, this can be like a header component. We have previously accessed products, and we can select this to be a component on itself. Let me give you an example. So what we usually do is like in the red or maroon encapsulation here is going to be like one flexbox or one box, so it's going to have a flex of one. Then we are going to split our app into the top part, then we are going to have this part, and also break it down to this new product section, as well as the bottom part. So technically we are splitting this into four parts. And as you can see, for this specific example, all of this is flowing downwards. We've split this red box into 4 columns or rows, if I can call them that, but they are cascading downwards. But if you take the first section here, the header part, you'll find we can further split it into 2 other components. One is where we have the logo, and one is where we have the search box, and now that is more of splitting things inside the row, and this can continue with all the other products. So for example, the new product section, we can have, it was a box, and inside this box we can have this first column or row, and inside this we can split it 2 times, and we can also have the bottom part, and inside this bottom part we can split further this into another component, and in this component we can vertically split it into different sections. So think about React Native as where you start with one major component and you break it down to the simplest of components that can be reused. So without further ado, let's jump to our code. So here I've opened 3 things. I've opened my emulator. Again, I said it's easier if you are using your phone just to do it. Just open up with your phone. Here I'm just using an Android emulator so that you can see. I've also opened up the folder where we have our project, and I've opened up a terminal here. So inside our source folder, remember we have the Ploti folder which contains the native code. So I'm just going to come here and cd into source, then I'm going to cd into Ploti. Let me first clear this, and inside here we usually run expo start to start the project. I'm also going to open up this in VS Code, and we'll be working in this Ploti folder. And last time inside our app.js, we were doing the counter application. So I'm going to wait for this. Is still asking me to update my Expo CLI. Just going to give it a second, then we proceed. And here it has finished, and it's saying, so I'm going to press A for Android emulator. Press A. This will try to open up on our emulator here. Again, if you're doing this for the first time, it might take up a few seconds. And I'm also having bad internet today. See. Okay, and so I've been able to solve that, and the project has opened. So let's proceed with this tutorial. So our target now is to come up with the project for today. So I'm going to come here to the app.js, and I'm actually going to delete majority of this. We don't need the state. I'm going to delete all these functions up to the render. Just want to initialize a very blank app, and I'm going to delete everything here. Oops. Like so. Now for now we can just return a null. And now if we return to the app, we should just see a blank screen. So what we are trying to make for today is this screen. So as we said, we're going to have one main view. Inside this view, we are going to split it into 4 parts, and each one of those 4 parts we are going to split it even further. So let's start with the main part. So for the main view, so I'm just going to put a function here. So we need to have one view. Oops. And this view, I'm going to give it a style. This we must do for everything that we do. I'm going to give it a flex of 1. And just so that we can see it, I'm just going to give it a border width of 1 as well. This is the width of the border. And I'm going to give it a border color. I'm going to give it a red. Actually, let me put this as a border width of 2 so that we can just see what we've just created. Okay, so coming back to the emulator, give it time to load. If you're using a phone, this will be faster. I'm actually going to put this side by side so that as we code, we see what you're doing. I don't need to see the other files. Okay, so we can see here it's a red border. Actually, let me just give it a 4 so that it's way clear. And you can see it's covering the entire screen. So why is it so? So we've put a flex of 1. So the way flexbox works, it works by ratios, meaning 1 is equivalent of 100%. So it's fraction. So if we want to split this into many parts, we are going to put more views in it, and we are going to split it by flexes. If I didn't put a flex of 1, it couldn't have covered the entire part. Okay, so let me first return to the view. Oops. Okay, so one more thing that I need to do, make sure this is in brackets because we want to use in multi-line. So inside this view we need to split it 4 times. So the way we do this, you can do it in 2 ways. First of all, you can use height or you can use flex. So I want to create and this side here I'm going to put a text so that you can just see. I'm going to put box 1. I'm going to give this a style. Bear with me, then you are going to see how it makes sense. I'm going to say here flex is equals to, so if we come to this image, you can see this is like 10% of the entire screen, this is like 20, this is like, so I can say this is 30, 40, 20, 10, so that they add up to 100. So I can say the first part I can give it a flex of 1 because I want everything to be out of 10, and I'm going to give it a border width of 1, and I'm going to give it a border color of black. I'm going to copy this. You'll just see in a second how all this makes sense. I'm going to copy it 3 more times so that we have 4 boxes. So this is going to be box 2, box 3, and box 4. So if I just save it right now like this, all these boxes will have the same height. Let it load. You'll just see 4 boxes that are touching each other and they'll be of the same height. Let's see. Exactly. So box 1, box 2, box 3 and box 4, they're all the same height. This is because of one thing. Inside the main box we have 4 boxes. Each box has a flex of 1. So the ratio of this box is 1 out of 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it's 1 out of 4, which is a quarter. So as you can see, this is a quarter, another quarter, another quarter. So these are all out of 4. But let's assume we go with a flex that is out of 10. So if I put this 1 and I put this 3, this I put, let's say, 4, then this I put 3. So this will be 1, and again we are looking at everything inside the main view. This will be 1 plus 3 plus 4, which is 7. Now which is, no, actually I'm going to put this 2. So 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4, 7 plus 3, 10. So this one will be 1 out of 10, which is 10%. This will be 2 out of 10, which is a fifth. This will be almost half, and this box here will be 3. So actually, just to make things interesting, I'm going to put this 3, and I'm going to put this 4. So we should expect them to be increasing in size as we go down. So we should see one which is like 10%, one which is like 20, one which is 30, and one which is almost halfway up to here. So you can see this is 10%, 20%, 30%. So this is one way of doing it, and this can be out of anything. So I usually like working with 10. You know, you can put something like 10, 20, 30, 40, but it's going to be a fraction of the total. So if you put this, is still supposed to be the same. So working with number 10 or working with 100 usually makes a lot of sense, but I like just using 10 for simplicity. Exactly the same. Okay, so that is one way of doing it. And the advantage of doing it this way is that it is going to subdivide itself depending on which mobile phone that you are using. So if you use a relatively tall phone, it's still going to do 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. Now, the other option is, if you don't want to use flex, there's one option that you can do, and that is using something called height. But the tricky thing of using height is, so for example, I can come here and say height. So for example, the first one, I can give it a height of, like 200 pixels. I can come and give the other one a height of, let's say, 300 pixels without px, and I can come here and do the same for the others. But the disadvantage of doing it this way is that if you have different devices, the let's say I put this 700. First of all, they won't, it's very easy for them to overflow. In different devices is going to look weird. That's why we like working with percentage. So if it's 50% of the screen, is 50% of the screen regardless of the device. So if I do it this way, for example, you'll find it's there all out of proportion, and we can't even see box 1 because this screen is different from another screen. Okay, so I hope now you understand the concept of flex. So we'll go with the way the flex was. So for this one I can say like it looks like 10, go with a flex of 10, then 20, then 30, 40, because this will be a bit more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go with that. So another thing that we need to do, I'm actually going to bring this down here. Another thing that we need to do is in this first box we need to split it into 2, so that you know, we have one place where we'll have the icon and the other one that will have the search. So instead of text, I'm going to come and write another view. And this one I'm going to say I for icon. I'm going to put a text actually so that we see. I'm going to put capital I, and I'm going to put another view, and this will be text search bar. Oops. So if I do it that way, okay, I'm just going to give this one a margin here at the top so that, you know, this box starts down, because right now the box is all going to this status bar. So this one I'm going to give it a margin top, and I'm going to give it of 10, so that at least the red box comes down. And another advantage of using flexbox is that if you push the main component down, everything will shrink to the new size. So let's see if that will work. It's still a lot, so I'm going to put 20. Again, down the line I'm going to show you a way of easily avoiding the status bar. This is just a quick fix for now, and of course different forms will have different sizes of their status bar. So let's see if it's going to work. Yeah, it's now more or less there. But if you find now this text box I and the view, the search bar, they're supposed to be parallel or in the same row. So the way we do that is in this flex of 1, I'm going to come here and say I'm going to give it something new called flex direction. And I'm going to put it as row. Another thing I'm going to do with this view, again I'm going to give it oops, sorry for that. I'm going to give it a border color of, let's say, green. I'm also going to give it a border width of 1, so that we can just visualize. And I'm going to copy this and do this for the second search bar. There's something important here I want you guys to see. So when we do it this way, we just want to see the border. So this is something we'll be doing quite a lot. Let it load. So you can see they are now parallel to each other or horizontally in the same row, but this one needs to be at the end. So the way we do that is that first of all, for this other one, I can put it and say flex direction. I can put it as column for the main style, because everything, these boxes are going into column. So what I can do with this view, after saying flex direction is row, this second one, we want the search bar to be at the end. So what we can do here on the styles, that is the view that is encapsulating the text, we can say here, I think it's justify content. Is it so? Let me try and put flex end. It sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. I'm just freestyling. Let's let me hope it works. Still not working. So okay, what I can do is instead of doing it then here, or can it be align self? Let me see, align self, flex end. So I'm trying to tell this view of the search bar, align yourself to the end of the flex box, which is now the parent of this is this flex of 1. So it's coming down. So let me try justify, is it something like justify self? No. So what I can do with this, if it's refusing, is I can come to the parent, which is now this black one, the one with border color of black, and I can say, since they are in row, I can say justify content, and I can say space between. So what space between does is it's going to take the two components, which is now the icon and the view, and put them equally spaced inside the view, and put some padding on the sides. So let's see how it looks. Now you can see this is at the end, this is at the end. Okay, to make this interesting, we need to give this widths. So instead of saying width is like 50 pixels, I can just put as a percentage. So I can come to this icon where we need to have the icon. Now I'm going to give this a flex. Again, out of 10, I want to give it it's like 20%. So I'm just going to say flex of 2. And for the search bar, I'm going to give it a flex of 8. An important thing to know is that we had said the overall box is flex of 1. Then inside this, we gave this row a flex of 1, this a flex of 2. But when you come inside now this first box, you start afresh for the flex boxes. So you can see here that the attaching, the search bar is this green part, and the icon is here. But we can give them space. So I can say space around. This is what I meant, space around. So what space between does is it just puts one to the extreme end and the other one to the extreme end. But if you put space around, it's going to give its own padding and spaces in between the two components. So this is much better. Okay. Okay, I can give this a padding. So I just want these two to be separated a bit. So I can come to the style and say, for example, padding horizontal. And by padding horizontal, it means it's going to add some padding both on the left and on the right, not just one. Otherwise, you could have done padding left. You can do something like 10. Let's see how this looks like. Still nothing. Okay, let me try to use justify content of center. I'm also going to align items. I'm also going to here justify content to center and also align item center. So these two commands is something that you'll use most of the time so that everything aligns up properly. So if we see this now, the icon and the search bar, they're okay, but the height is quite small, although the width is there. So let me try to do this as space around again. I just want to see how it's going to behave. Okay, seems there isn't. So I'm going to try with this. I'm going to say margin left. I'm going to put 10. Sometimes padding does not work, so you have to use like margin. Let's see. Yeah, it's now split. Okay, so for this one, margin is working, so I'm just going to say margin horizontal. And we can see also the icon is not touching. So if also for the icon I'm going to, which is this, I'm just going to give it a margin left. I'm going to give it a margin left of 10 as well. So we should see this space, this small space in between the logo and the search. I'm actually going to call it search product, so that is identical. Okay. Okay, now it's almost coming up as it's supposed to be here. The only problem here is the height. So here you can do it two ways. You can give it a predefined height, or you can do the height as a fraction of the height of this flexbox. So I'm also seeing as if we've given this flexbox quite a lot. So I can come, for example, for search products on the view, and I can say here height, and I can put it as let's say 50% of this. So the way you do it, you can do 50%, and it's going to calculate the height of the box that it is in and put that height. Let's see how it looks like. Now it's more or less coming along, and we can do this also with the icon. But instead of doing 50%, the way I like writing this is saying 50 plus %. It's the same way. So JavaScript will just combine 50 and percent to become 50%. The advantage of doing this is that you can now use this number you can derive this number from a certain calculation. So let's say in certain mobile phones you want it to be 60 and that value is calculated, you can do it such way. So I'm going to copy this, and also here just to make sure that they are equal, and say height is 50. Okay, now it has loaded, and at least this one we can see is a bit if we look, this logo is supposed to be somehow a square. We'll come to that and make it a square, although this is more of a rectangle really. And another thing, this search products needs to be centered at the middle. Right now ours is at the top. We have to have this icon. So we can first of all work with this so that is at the middle for search products. And the way we do that here, we need to, of course, and it's also at the start, so it's okay. So I can say justify content, and I can say flex start, so that is at the start. And another thing I can do is I can say align items. This needs to be align items. This needs to be center, because align items is taking this. It's working on the vertical axis. So aligning vertically. So we put center, so it's at the center of the height. Okay, this has gone the other way. It's because we need to say this is flex direction of row. We've said so. So I need to come here and copy this for this to work, and I say flex direction of this box is row, so that justify content starts. Yeah. So you'll find that majority of these things you have to do a lot of repeated work. Let's see how it comes up. Yeah. And another thing we can put is I can see here, I can put this letter is search is not at the end. So perhaps I can say, let's see. Now this is where we'll use a padding. Let's say padding left, and I'll put 10. Perfect. And now you can see it's padded properly. Now if you wanted to change the font of this, you can absolutely change the font, but for now it seems it's okay. One thing I need to do is I need to put this background of green here for now, since we don't have the icon. We'll do that later in the video. And one of the ways you can do that is inside this view we have something called background color, and I can just write green, but I have this app here called JC Picker tool or something, just color picker, JC Picker, and I can just come here and hover to this color of the logo, hit Alt X I believe. Now I can just copy this color just to be so that we are exactly the same color as what we have on. Oops. Need to copy this. And now it's green. Actually I reduced this flex to 1, so that is 10%, and I'm going to increase this to 9, so that is 10% and 90%. Okay, now you can see we are almost getting there, but of course here the problem is these buttons, icons do not work. This search products is not working, and of course here I've left out an icon. We are going to do that later on, but at least you can see how this is forming. So let's go ahead and form on this second part, this list. So we are going to add functionality to all these things later. We are just trying here to do the styling. So I'm going to close this second part, and we now come to, I'm also going to close all these, the box 3 and the box 4. So we now come to box 2, where we are supposed to do these 3 things. Okay, so there's 2 ways we can do this. For now we are going to manually hard code everything. So of course we are going to start with as the rest. We want this thing to be a row, since things are arranged in a row. So I'm going to come here and say flex direction, I want it to be row. I want align items to be center, and as to justifying content, I'll put it, I'm going to put it as flex start. So because these things we can see they are starting here and going this way, they are not all the way. If we put, so justify content, so if we come here, you find that we have a few options. We have center, flex, end. So if I put center, these 3 things will be centered from the center going outwards on all directions. It's like using justify, you know, on Word document. If I put flex end, they are going to start from here coming this way. If I put flex start, is now what we have. And if I put space around, they are going to equally space this equally on all sides, putting equal padding on all of them. If I put space between, this one will be on the extreme left, this one will be on the extreme right, and this will be at the middle, or space evenly. So I'm just going to put flex start. Okay, so what we need a few more views. So I'm going to write 3 views that has that. So just going to come here and delete this, and I'm going to say view. Inside this view we are going to have a text for now, and I'm going to write groceries. I'm going to copy this. We need 3 boxes for now. Paste. The second one is repairs, and here we have gas deliveries. Okay, if I just do this and save, you will find that they're not going to be very nice space. So you just find grocery, repair, gas deliveries, but we need to have these boxes. And again, forgive me for these black boxes. Majority of these lines where we do the border colors, we're going to remove them at the end. So here of course I need to give these things a style. So for all of them I'm going to say style is equals to, I'm going to give them This one I can give a predefined width. I'm going to give all of them a width of, let's say, so we can fit like 4, so I can say a width of 20%, 20 plus percent. I need to give them a height. I'm going to say it's going to be like 50% of the height of this black thing. So I'm going to say for all of them again, height, oops, I'm going to say 50 plus percent. Anything else? Yeah, I can put a, I'm going to put a border width of 1. I'm going to put a border color. No, this one we don't need a border color. It can just be a plain border. So if I save this one needs to be something wrong somewhere. Oh, oops. This one needs to go to, this one needs to come here, like so. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. So we can see we have the 3 boxes, but you know, they need to be, we need to space them, and we also need to have this. If you look closely, they have curves on the end. So let's first give them an equal spacing. So I can say in each one of them I can come here and add just a second. Can come here and say and put a margin right. I put of 10. Will 10 work? I'll put of 20. Let's see how it looks like. So the reason I'm putting margin right only is because this one will be on the left and we are only adding margins to the right. If you put margin left, then this one, you know, the first element will be affected as well. You can see now this is just the left part is not affected, and all these other ones are okay. So another thing we can do is this border radius. So we can come in each and every one of these ones after putting margin right. We can say border radius, and I can put a border radius of, let's try with 10. We see how it turns out. So we are putting a border radius on all the 4 corners, like this icon here. You can see it has a radius, and that one you have to do a bit of guesswork before you get it right. So you can see here 10 is a little bit, we need a little bit more, so perhaps I can do 15. So that is nice and easy to see these curves. Perfect. So you can see the curves are there. So another thing we need to do for this is that we need, inside each one of them we have an icon and the text. So the way we do that, now we have to come individually in each and every one of them, and each one of them has a color, by the way. So let's start with the first one of groceries. So I can put this and say a background color, and again I'm going to pick using my color picker tool here, Alt X, copy value. Let me also do colors for the other two. So for the second one, the color is X, copy value. For the second is going to be that, and for the third one is again, what we are doing right now is a very long process, and towards the end I'll show you an easier way. Have I copied the right thing? Let's see. I'm supposed to copy that. Okay. So I'm going to come to the first one where we have the text groceries, but inside here we need to have an icon. So for now I'm just going to put the icon as a view, and inside this I'm going to have a text. Inside this text I'm just going to write a capital I, meaning it's an icon, or IC. So, and also this groceries I'm going to put it in a view so that we can subdivide this component, this box, into percentages. The way you do that, you do through views. I'm going to put this up here. So in this first view I can give it like 80%. So I'm again say style is equals to flex. I'm going to give it 8 for 80%. Basically that's it. And for this other one I'm going to give it for groceries, I'm just going to give its view a flex of 2. Actually think that's a lot. I'm just going to say 1, and I'm going to put this as 9. And here I'm going to, in the parent, I'm going to say give it a flex direction of column, because right now if we save it might look bad. Even if we've subdivided, I need to tell it that things are flowing downward so that it's a flex of column. So you can see they are a bit out. So what I can do is here I can say flex direction. I can give it a column. Let it load. So let me see why they are not fitting. It's because this parent one, I didn't give it a flex. That's why it's all over the place. So perhaps instead of saying width of 2, this is a tricky one. So instead of then saying flex, let me just give it a percentage. You can say here height. You can give it perhaps 80 plus %. And alternatively, instead of flex, because we didn't give the parent a flex, it's because we said they might be 2 or 3. And if you, so here percentages work best. So here then I put 15. Save. Let's see. So there are instances where you won't be able to use flex in some of them, especially where you are uncertain on the number of items. Okay, so it's still almost coming up. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to give it a border width of 1 so that we can see. And I'm also going to give this other one a border width of 1 so that we are able to visualize. Again, I'm freestyling in all of this. Is the first time I'm trying to do it. Let's see. So we can see here is okay. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to say justify content. I'm going to put center. I'm going to say align items. I'm going to put center as well. And I need to do similar to this other one that is for groceries. Let's wait for the first one to load. For it to load. Yes, and we can see now the icon will go up here and the groceries, the text will go down bottom. So actually what I can do is instead of now repeating this for the other ones, I can just copy the style, copy this style for the text and put it in this style for, let's see. So let's start with the main one for the icon. I can copy the view and go to the next one for repairs. Oops, oh, so the other ones we didn't have two views. So what I can do is I can copy these two. I can copy these two views for the one with the text of the icon and the other view that has the, yes, wait. Yes, I can copy these two and paste them here, and instead of groceries, write repairs. And you can also come, instead of gas deliveries, I copy everything inside there, just write of course later on when you're building the app, this one data will come from our Django backend. So we are going to write a function to iterate and automatically create this. But for now, since we are just learning about styling, we are hard coding everything. So you can see we have this, and this gas deliveries is not fitting properly. So one of the ways you can do this is you can reduce the font, or you can put it so that it's accommodated. So let's for now just reduce the font. So for example, for the text, I can say style, and I can say font size, I believe. I can put something like 8. Wait for it to load. Yes, and now you can barely see it, but it's going to work for now. So of course here when I've written icon, it means you are going to fill it with the appropriate icon when the time comes. Super. So another thing that we need to do now, we are going to box 3. So at least we've seen how we can schedule this. So one of the things we can do, I think this is pretty high, so we can reduce the initial, flexbox. This one, I think we had put the second one to be like 20. So let me just minimize. So the main box was flex of 1. So this top part is flex of this 1. And we put the second one as flex of 2. So I'm still going to put, I think, at 2. It's 20%. So I can still put, what did I put here? 2. So I can, let's say I put 1.5. Then that extra 1.5 I can put to this one, so that this one becomes 3.5. They still add up to 10. So this one will reduce, this one will increase, so that this is a bit tiny. Let's see how it looks like. We might be forced to increase the height as a percentage of these ones, because it was a percentage of the total height of the black box. Yeah, so we need just to add to increase the height of these boxes. So where the height is 50 for these 3 boxes, what is the third one? No, this is the first box, so it's supposed to be here. So here we've said the height is 50%. I believe we can add let me try to add this to 70%, see how it looks like. To close this as well. So let's see how this first grocery is, because this background, when we increase to 70%, will be the height relative to the box. So it's now, you know, the same size we are talking about. So also for the other two, I'm going to put them for that one, and also this one, I'm going to give them a height of 70. Let's see how it looks like. And now I can even come and remove this border width for the search bar, and I can also remove the border width of this black part. So I usually use border widths a lot just to guide me, but for now we can remove them. Okay, we are proceeding on well. So the other part now we need to do is this part. I think I'll just, for this video, I'm just going to do this part, and this other part we'll do it in the course of the video tutorial. So let's just do this part for now, and this one is coming now on the third part. So similarly to the other ones, I'm actually just going to copy what we've just done here and just add a few things. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to copy one of these views, like the green one, and I'm just going to change a few things. Is search products. It's the one with the, let's see, it's the second part. So I'm going to copy one of these views. This one is up to, let's see, I'm going to copy this groceries one. I'm going to copy that, and we can see here it's two of them. So I'm going to come here to the text box. So since we have two, actually let me just do it from scratch. I'm just going to put a view. Inside this view, I'm going to put a text. I'm going to write box 1. I'm going to copy this, copy, paste, and I'm going to say box 2. As always, for the two of them, since they are equal, they cover the entire size, so they are going to have similar styles. So I'm going to say here, I can give all this a flex of 1 now. I'm going to say flex is equals to 1. I'm going to say border width, I'm going to put of 1. I'm going to give them a height of 100%. Should I? No, let us first work with that. All of them, all the items that are inside each one of them are flowing downwards, so I'm going to say flex direction. I'm going to put it as column for both of them. Yes, and now in the parent, which was this column, I'm going to say flex direction is row, since they are arranged in this manner, and justify content is space between, since we want the two of them to touch both ends, and align content is center. Align items, yes, it's center. Okay, so let's see how this one looks like. So we need to give this a height. So I'm going to give both of these a height. Let's say of let's do 80%, 80 plus percent sign. I'm going to close out all the others. Okay, so we see box 1, box 2. Awesome. So there's another thing that is here. So we see here on the top there's another line. So actually we need to split this view into 2 views. So I had forgotten that. So apologies. So what I do, let me close these 2 views. And in this main view, which is this bigger black box, I'm going to put another. So this one actually needs to be flex direction. I need to put it as column. Then I'm going to have a view, and I'm inside this I'm going to have a text, and inside this text I'm going to say top row. Then I'm going to have another view that covers this other part. So view, another view, and now everything that we've written down, let me see, of this text box 1 and text box 2 will go inside this second view. Perfect. So this view I'm going to give it a style is equals to, give it a flex of 9, give it a border color. You're just going to see what I mean by this. I'm going to give it a border color of, no, just a border width of 1. So this bigger black box, I've decided to split it into 2. First of all, into this top part where is written new products and see all, and then this second part what we are doing, border width of 9. So this means that in the top row I need to give this style is equals to flex of 1, so that is 10%. This red part is 10% and the other one is 90%. Actually don't need to do a border with that one. No, let me do a border width. I'm going to put 1. Okay, so let's see if it still makes sense. Save, refresh. Styling is what is going to take majority of your time. And now, okay, now we get this problem. So coming to the parent, so of course this needs to be column, justify content. Because it's a column, I need to put it as space between. That will work. Okay, so it's supposed to be column, justify line items. Center, I think that one is still okay. So the first one we've put a flex and direction. So the second one, no, I need to put for this one I'm going to say flex direction. I need to put it as row. Okay, put it as row. I'm also going to put flex direction and justify content, space between. I'm doing this for these second boxes. I want them to be in a row. So align items, say center. So let's see how this one looks like. Oops, I've seen where I've made one mistake. So yeah, I need to remove this. It's supposed to come this first view with its flex, and this needs to come here. So with time this one gets more confusing and it's very easy to make some mistakes. So let's see if all that makes sense. Waiting for it to reload. Perfect. So then what I need to do is that in this top row I need to have these two things, new products and see all. I'm going to do that right now. So instead of text top row, I'm going to have another text. So this one is new products. This is written as C all. So in order to style this, like because this one looks like a button, we need to introduce a few things. Remember last time we said there's something called touchable opacity, and so I'm going to put this inside here, and this one I'm going to give it a style, and I'm going to say, just going to give it a background color. It's red. And also for this other one is just a view. It's written see all, but let's also do a touchable opacity because I'm assuming it's a button that will later be used. Touchable opacity. I'm going to put this inside here. So let's see how this one looks like. I think we still need to space them around. So in the apparent view, I'm going to say here flex direction, it's row. By now you should be knowing this. And justify content is space between, align items is center. So let's see, save, make sure we've imported touchable opacity. I hope so. Yes, we need to delete this, we won't be using it. So of course, so far we've not given this any distance, that's why they look like this, and this color is a bit different. So let me check which color is this. Alt X, copy value. So instead of red, I'm going to put that. So we need to size them. So this looks like 20-ish%, this looks like 10%. So what I can do with this is that can come here and say for this touchable opacity, the flex is out of 10. I'm going to give it I think 30%, 3, so that should we use flex 3? No, I'm going just to give it a width. let's see which is good. I'm trying to think. First of all, let me give this text a style. I'm going to give it a color. This is usually just color. I'm going to put it as the same color we've used up top there. So what is worrying me, we can see here is a border color which is black and it's not going all the way, which is the apparent, which is this one, flex of 1. So it's supposed to go all the way, and the reason it's not going, I don't know why it's not going. So let me first of all this give a border color so that I'm sure. I'm going to give it a blue. Not sure why it's not extending all the way to the end. Let's see. It's not refreshing. Let's see. Oh, it's now refreshing. Okay, so I think what I can do, I can come to the apparent, which is this view, and I can just say here, sometimes you need to force this. Since I don't know what's the problem, I can just force it and say width is 100+%. Although this flex of 1 needed to solve that. So let's see. So this is the importance of using this border color, since you can see what is happening. So wait for it to refresh. So hopefully this will stretch the parent box to both ends like that. So you can see now we have new products and we have see all. Obviously perhaps I can make this a bit longer the way it is and put it and give it like this font needs to be white. So what I can do here is I can come to the new products and I say style is equals to, first of all the color is white. The font size I believe is okay. I can do a padding for either of them, but it's not necessary for now. This is white, it's new products, it needs to be capital. Let's just do that. New products, new. Yeah, I think the other one is technicalities. We are going to come back and do it and give it some bit of spacing inside the words, because right now the words are touching all the way to the end. So as that loads, let's come and finally do this. I think this video has become too long, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce the concept of React Native elements in the next video, where we'll see how we can use other third-party libraries to make this styling way easy. And another thing is doing icons and other things becomes easy using React Native elements. But for now, let me just do this the manual way. Then we fill up, then we just do this too, then we call it a day, and next one we are going to finish up on this one. So here I have box 1. So of course one of the first things I need to do from this one, I need to make sure that I align items on the center. So let me just align items. Oops. Center. So this will push the box 1 here to the middle, but we also need to justify content. For this one we'll justify content not center, but space between. I'm going to say justify content as space between. Cool. So of course here we have two things. I'm not going to concentrate on this like icon. We are going to do that in the next video, but I'm going to put a view here that has this, that has you know, the icon or the image, the price, this one, the amount, and add to cart. So we need to subdivide this into about 1, 2, 3, or just 1, 2, and 3 parts. So the image, the text, and the add to cart. so wait for it to load. So as I do that, I can just quickly be doing view, it's just one. So this one I'm going to put a text. I'm going to copy it and do 2 more times. So this one will be the box that has the image. This one is where we are going to have, I think the first thing is the Kenya shillings 20, and actually going to copy that 2 more times inside there. And the second one is the mangoes. And this one I think is just the amount. Okay, so and the third one is with add to cart. Okay, so right off the bat, we are going to realize that everything will appear very badly. So as we've been doing with the others, we need to style the first view. So I'm going to divide this as, this is purely like 50%, 30%, 20%, or I can just do, because this one will be another 10%, so we are going to leave it. Actually, let me add this first part, which is the icon. So I'm just going to come here and say H for heart, or I'm just going to do that. Oops, I can't use that because it's a, yes. Okay, save. Let's see what we are working with. So we are going to have an image, we are going to have the amount and the add to cart. So I also can't use this because is what is the closest thing I can use? I think I can use let me just use the 3 that will symbolify as a heart. So with this one I'm going to give it a style is equals to flex. I'm going to give it just a 0.5 because it's tiny. I'm going to give it a border width of 1, and I'm going to justify content. I'm going to put it at flex end. No, yeah, flex end. And I'm going to say flex direction is raw. I'm going to put it as raw so that this text is just pushed all the way to the end. I'm going to copy this because they are going to be very similar. And I'm going now, this is for that, for the image. I'm going to give an image thing of, since it's like halfway, I'm going to give it like 4.5 so that this two is like 50%. Border width 1, justify content, I need this to be at the center so that even if the image is small, it's still going to be here at the center. This one I need to align items, I'm going to put also at the center so that even if also the image is tiny, it's pushed not to the side but also to the center. And flex direction, I'm going to give it this one we don't need a flex direction really, this one we require it, so that one will be the image. Okay, so we come to this other one, paste the style, flex. So this is 50%, we give this like 30, so it will be 3. Border width 1, justify content is actually flex start. Yeah, because they're all here. Flex direction is column because the text is going downwards. Align items, wait, so this is column, justify content, flex start. Okay, let's see how that one will look like. So the other thing will be this is the image. We've done for the image, we've done for the text, and now the third part will be style. So this one will be 2 because we're adding up to 10. Flex direction is raw, justify content, this is at the center, and also we'll need to align items to center. So let's see how all of that comes about. Loading. Okay, so we find the small text here, the 3, the image is at the center, this one is also at the center, this one is here. So I need to find a way of making this to go all the way to the left. So this is the kienyeji, so this is the parent. So the view here, justify content, so it's at the center, it's supposed to be like that. Align items, no, this one needs to be, I think, flex start. Let's see, since the parent was a column. So let me look at the main parent. The main parent was a column. Oh, oops, we might need to interchange these two. Because when it is a column, when you justify content, yeah, and the align is usually the inverse. So we might need to flip those two around, yes. So justify content will be flex start. And now align items will be center, I believe. Let's see. Sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. I also see a problem with what I've just written. It might not work because this is just justifying what is inside it. Exactly, that is just justifying what is inside it. So let me try to do align self, align self. Let's try to do this at flex start. All the problem we have. Okay, so this is for the no, we don't need to do this for the image, we need to do this for the text. Okay, so I'm going to put this for the text. Okay, also another problem I've seen is with this number 3, it seems as if this is not stretching all the way. So what I can do here, I'm going to write width, I'm going to say 100+%. It's because, just you'll see in a second, save this, wait for it to load again. Give it a second, we're almost winding up. So it's because it's quite tiny anyway, it's not going all the way. The image is okay. This, the width need to be 100%. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one. So far it's okay. Also this add to cart needs to be, the width needs to be 100%. So add to cart, so yeah, I can come and say width, I can put 100+%. Let's see if this box is going to stretch all the way to the end here. And I can also see that there's a space between these two, so between box 1 and box 2. So add to cart has gone all the way, and it has a background color, so let me pick that one out quickly. Alt X, copy. I'm going to put I'm going to put that. There's one more thing I need to do. I need to put a small margin from add to cart, so I can say, is it margin top or padding top? Let me put a padding, just put something small like 5. For these kienyeji ones, they are okay the way it is right now, although this kienyeji mangoes is in bold. So I can come to this text and say style is equals to, I think it's font weight, and here you can have like bold, just like that. This is okay. This needs to be Kenya shillings 20. Save. For image, I'm going to put I'm going to give it a width of 80+%. Not sure why the first one is not stretching all the way. This width is 100%. Flex direction is raw. Maybe I need to put this inside a view. Let me just put this inside a view. I'm going to say style equals to width. So perhaps let me give this a flex of 1, so that is also a bit high. Reduce this to flex of 4. So let's see how the box now looks like. I'm also going to put a spacing between these two, so I'm going to come to this main. I've put space between. Okay, now it's almost there. I'm going to put this as flex end, not flex start, for the number 3. I can put 20%. I can remove the border width for the image, but for the text I can remove this. So this one padding is not working, so I'm going to put save, and now we should be almost nearing the end. Let me put also a padding to the row so that color, it's okay. This one I can put margin right and just put 10. So wait for it to finish. And also I can remove the border color for this add to cart so that it looks nice and neat. Add to cart border width, can remove the border width. Save, and if all this goes well, then we can just wind up for now and come back in the next lesson. So fingers crossed. Again, you will see it does not look like the final product, and this is where the next one we are going to be looking at React Native elements and why it's easier to use than just to do manual coding for this layout. Again, for me, the majority of the work again just falls under layout and how difficult it is to do. So waiting for it to load. Come on. Okay, so a few problems here. This one needs to be here at the end. This margin here is not working, so I'm assuming I've done a margin right. Let's see. .51, I've done a margin right. Let me just try to do padding right, at least just to have this space here working. This one needs to be all the way to the end. I don't know why it's misbehaving, so let me just do this. Align self, I can just do align self, and I can put this to flex end 20%, and I can remove just right here, love, I can remove this border width. Fingers crossed. And you can see this also, this is slightly, it has some slight what do you call it, radius to the top. So what I can do with this first one is flex of 1, flex of 9, can do here is the radius, I can just put off 10, and I'm still not getting this space. This is weird. Padding right, and I'm going to put margin right. I'm also going to put 10. Oh, so shit, this is supposed to be not on the main component, but it's supposed to be on these individual boxes. So one of them is supposed to work, I'm assuming margin right. So wait for it to load, and yeah, if everything comes well, this love needs to be here top right, this needs to be equally spaced, and the corners needs to be there. Then we can call it a lecture. Waiting for it to load. 2%, come on. Yes, boom. And now you can see for this first one, it's similar to what we have right here. Everything is spaced as it's supposed to be. And now the next lesson we are going to play around with now putting the images, putting this to the right, but everything is shaping up as the way it's supposed to be. Of course, we need to clean up and remove majority of these borders so that it looks nice and clean. Again, as always, if you're finding me for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.